welcome, welcome everyone. I think that's how we start these things, something like that. I did update the first slide, Barney, so we'll throw that out there just because we always start the same way. Next week we're going to start taking some of these sticky notes off of here because goodness knows we've been piling them up. So who's going to be at Build It next week? That's the most important question. Nobody. It's a small event, but it's supposed to be a good educational one. So
I may be there.
So we will be at Build It next week. Yeah, it's right around the corner for you, isn't it?
Yeah, 45 minutes.
As close as you can get. Yeah.
As close as you can get. It's closer from the city than it is from me.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. And then the week after that will be at CompTIA. Many other events we've talked about plenty of times coming up. So if you're going to be at Build It or at CompTIA, come find us. We'll be hanging out at our booth and at all the regular places. If you're brand new to the platform, we do this Lifecycle Insights Friday workshop every Friday. Today we're just going to do kind of a quick rundown of a couple of topics that Marnie and I have that we want to talk to you guys about. So we're flipping it on its head a little bit today, but also new to Lifecycle Insights on Wednesdays, 1 o'clock. If you're new to the platform, this is one of those things where we have some dedicated time that we spend with you in a group setting to just try and make sure that we're getting all of your questions answered appropriately, getting you off on the right foot, and making sure that you get the right start, so that you get the most out of the platform and out of your demo. So with that, Marnie, you want to start with Greg's feedback this week?
Oh, I certainly can. So Greg, I didn't even see Greg. Are you in the chat? Oh, you are here. Good. So Greg sent in a question, said, I would love to hear everyone's second favorite PSA integrated product. We know your first favorite PSA integrated product was Lifecycle Insights. His words, not mine. But he said, we would love to hear everyone's second favorite PSA integrated product. And you even listed some. So what CSAT tools, what RMM tools, etc. Right? So all the things associated that you're pulling or pushing from your PSA. What are folks using, and what's the value that you got out of them? And Greg, you're on, so you can, unless the twins, it doesn't look like you're in the room where the twins are napping next to you, but if they are, you can speak for yourself unless you're still doing that.
Yeah, you framed it correctly. I was mostly curious about what are some of the other API plugins that people use, because I hear stuff thrown around all the time, and I was curious to hear it from the other partners. Like, what's something you got settled that you never have to go back and touch again? You're that happy with it, like it just works.
Nobody loves their APIs, Greg. That's what I just heard.
I'll jump in. We love our CSAT. We love seeing everything. We got TVs around the office and showing the guys leaderboards, ticket closures, open ticket count, time to acknowledgement, time to remediation or resolved. It's huge to have all of that, and we integrate with BrightGauge, so all that's integrated, and we're able to see all that from in the office, remote, wherever we are, and publish it to our website, and it's really proved a lot more valuable than I thought it would.
So
what CSAT tool are you using? Yeah,
we're using Smileback.
I'm not going to say this in unison. Smileback. Nice.
Smileback, yeah, it's pretty good.
We're working on that integration now, so that's always.
It's super easy. We looked at a few. I forget what the other one was that we looked at, but
yeah, Rafi, we did the same. My MSP, we switched from Smileback to Kruhu.
What else are folks? So I like, you're not just using it internally. You're using it not just for the person getting the CSAT results, but you're using it in the offices as a gauge of where you are. And then you also have it on your website as a marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have offered to a few clients that we can give them their own viewer login so they can see their stats for whatever they want to look at, whatever we allow them to look at. But of course, I mean, you have to always take that stuff with a grain of salt, right? We're showing them what we want them to see.
Yeah, yeah.
And only one client's taken it up so far.
Was there a specific problem that drove you to invest time in CSAT?
specific problem, I would say no. It's just not having that insight, or the president of the company getting a phone call going, what the heck happened here? Why did the ticket get closed? What's the problem? What's the process? So it gives us a lot faster access to that information. And then we action on the negative reviews, right? Somebody will call and say, hey, what did we do wrong? What can we do better? What wasn't resolved? What wasn't to your satisfactory, and so on and so forth.
I heard a great KPI for customer success team members the other day, which was 0 unreported churn. So it's not that you
Yeah.
won't have churn, but you shouldn't have churn you didn't know about.
Didn't know it was coming.
So,
Yeah.
like there's some things you can't control, right? A new CEO comes in, brings in their nephew with the IT company that is tough. You should be able to report that was a threat to the business. But I thought 0 unreported churn kind of goes along with what you're saying, Ben, right? To have access to that. And folks struggle with giving sometimes KPIs to customer success managers. I don't know what just happened. I just blinked out on this end. It's hot
We're
here.
all still here. You're just having a
Okay.
Mac day.
Okay. Sometimes folks struggle to give good KPIs to customer success managers if they're not associated to quota carrying numbers. So interesting, I think, around churn. Of course, you want 0 churn, but that's also, it's kind of like no child left behind. When everything's a priority, nothing is. So 0 reported churn. That's my comment for the day. Or 0 unreported churn, rather.
Yep. Who was it that said that to us? I was on that
That's
call.
Wes Spencer.
Oh, right. That was a perch thing.
Yeah. How about, so Greg, yeah, go ahead.
We did it for that, to kind of understand where our blind spots are, but why we ended up switching to Crew is that we wanted to encourage other activity besides the CSAT stuff. We wanted to encourage internal activity by our employees, like putting in documents in IT Glue and that sort of thing, and be able to kind of gamify that part of it. So you get good. It's not just that you get good scores, but you're also contributing to the overall team in that way.
It has an attaboy function in it, is what we always called it. But that ability to go out and say, hey, I get 5 points a week I can give away to my teammates. Go give a point to so-and-so because they did something to help me with a ticket. Or, I saw them putting forward one of the company's values. Yeah. Which was always a good one.
I'm curious if folks have other tools for that. There's the taco one that I know some use that you end up getting free tacos from yours.
I was going to say Pizza Friday.
Pizza Friday is one. Yeah. Goodness knows, I can't remember the 2 others. I know my son gets achievement points at CarMax, and there are 2 others that I've used. I'll have to think about which ones they were.
The Crew wraps it all into the same platform as your CSAT platform. So you can see how someone's performing on CSAT. You can see how they're performing internally with supporting their own team, and kind of turns it into that
KPI.
Yeah.
Tracker. Yeah.
That may actually be motivation for us to look at that and switch, because
It was more expensive for
big
us than
blind
my
spot.
MSP, but I was a fan.
Yeah, it's a little bit more money than what we were paying.
Yeah. But I mean, both of those products are, I think we went from $69 to $199 or something. I mean, it's not crazy money.
Certain things are worth the money.
Tim says IT Glue is his next best integration. How's everybody feel about their documentation system integration?
I'm happy with IT Glue, but in terms of how it integrates with our PSA, pretty good, because we're on the full Kaseya stack, and they've done some really nice tight integrations between the 3 major platforms in order to, especially between BMS and IT Glue. So that part's been really.
His chat assistant must have dragged him out into the hallway.
Where did Robbie go?
I mean, look, everything is what you put into it. So if your team is not investing the time that's needed into it, and only 1 or 2 people are carrying the load of updating documentation, updating notes, cleaning up configurations, then it's only as good as your investment.
I wonder if you can get that data out of IT Glue and put it into Bright Gauge or whatever other dashboarding that you're doing. I know IT Glue keeps a pretty good track of who's participating. I used to go screenshot that. It just sits in one little square, and I forget where the screen is, but it's literally like a productivity bar to show who's updated how many notes, who's created how many new notes. Just a point system. And I would go paste that into the engineer chat once a week, and it was always the same guy on top, but he went from being on top by 3 or 4 times the next person's usage to people nipping at his heels after a little bit of engagement like that. So it was interesting to snip that and share it and throw it out there. Of course, I always had to shame myself for not using it enough. That was easy enough, and I was willing to take one on the chin to get everybody else involved. Do you guys find that the apps that gamify themselves like that add more value or less?
We got Rafi back there.
Hey.
I don't know if you heard my answer, but whatever.
We did. We got most of it. And then at the very end, you dropped, it was like you literally stopped talking and then just.
Yeah, Zoom just.
It was like a mic drop moment, your answer. And so literally your mic dropped.
Yeah.
Sorry, Alex, I interrupted your question.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. I can honestly say at my MSP, I never used Zapier. I think I found native integrations for everything I needed to do. Is anybody working on using something like If This Then That? Or I guess the next iteration of that is going to be things like Roost and MSP bots. Anybody using either one of those yet? Well, now you guys have homework. Now you get to go check out new tools.
Yeah, I'm interested in what Roost can do, not only from kind of putting all that stuff in there. I mean, Zapier has been great about with like marketing tools, being able to move contacts around and things like that. So I'm interested in seeing how Roost will work in that.
Yeah.
That said Power Apps.
We also integrated in Verosoft into our PSA and prior to that we used the other one. I
Cloud
forget.
Radio.
Yeah, Cloud Radio. Those at first we were really bad about getting adoption, but now adoption's really picked up because I think clients just don't want to talk to us. So it makes it easier for them to just submit. Plus, it reduces errors because then we can have specific forms created for new accounts. We don't have to go back and forth with questions, asking things like that. So it's really helped out that kind of quick ticket resolution close well. So.
What are other folks doing for filling out forms and that type of thing? You're right, for new users, making sure you get all the right fields, et cetera.
We use ConnectWise ticket templates for it.
MS
We
forms.
use ConnectWise ticket templates, but we also have, as part of our QBR process, we review with clients. We have like standard Excel template that we use, and we send that to our point of contact at the client. We fill it out for them, and these are the network shares, these are the software, remote access, email, so on and so forth, start date. Are they using a new computer, existing computer? What's the computer name? Do we have an agent on it? So on and so forth. They fill that out, they send it back to us, and then it also creates accountability. So they go, why doesn't this person have access to this file? And
Because you didn't tell us to.
You didn't tell us to, right? Or the opposite is, well, we screwed up.
That never happens.
Right.
Russ, I'm laughing because Alex said the last one, he was chatting with the CEO, and for Giant Rocket Ship, I was just chatting with the CEO the other day too.
I don't even know who they are.
That's Dustin Purrier. He's in the
Oh, yeah, I know Dustin.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know him, you just probably didn't recognize the name of the company.
MSP Giant Rocket Ship. Now I have to go. Now I'm curious.
I think it's specifically for Autotask partners, and I think it is at best automated dispatching would probably be oversimplification of it, but that is the way he described it to me.
Got it.
Yeah, their site says get a free engineer for your IT help desk because like we take up, we do a lot of the automation of some help desk routing times. Kelly, forms integrated into ConnectWise for collecting data. Got it. How about for scheduling and timekeeping? Not that is everybody using kind of native timekeeping tools in PSAs, or does anybody use something separate? And Greg, I'd be curious to know if you were thinking keeping for ticket tracking or for some of those productivity tools where, you know, it kind of treats you in law offices where you've got, you know, you're on the books for 6 minutes type of thing, and you have to document what you're doing in blocks.
Both of those sound reasonable. I was just wondering what people use for both, really.
I see Clockify in the chat.
Yep. At my MSP,
is
we
it-
did all of that in ConnectWise, because if it wasn't in ConnectWise, it didn't happen. There was our rule.
TimeZest for bookings. Zorus is one that we end up standing next to at events sometimes. They're productivity tracking, right?
We live by that same rule, Alex. If it's not in ConnectWise, didn't happen.
And ConnectWise has turned it into a slogan, but it should apply to every PSA, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
can't run your business if you're not putting data back where everybody works.
No laundry, no ticket.
Yeah, because TimeZest doesn't support BMS, we ended up using Booking to
Bookings.
for letting clients pick a time to work with a technician if they kind of schedule, not time tracking. I think that I know that's different, but I agree with Tim though.
We use
Bookings.
we use Calendly ourselves, but if I was in
Yes.
the space, I think I'd want something that integrated.
Yeah, Calendly is great. Booking is a hot mess, but it's free and it works. So I use Calendly for my own use, but then the team, we have everyone on Booking.
I've not heard of mytimestation.com before.
I think that's actual time and attendance software.
Top left looks really cool.
I tried them at my MSP before they rebranded. It was CW Kanban back in the day. They were really onto something, and I was just too early. So we kind of walked away from it, but I would imagine that they're onto something really cool. This is what, 3 years later, 4 years later. I bet that's a really cool product. It wasn't ready for us, and I can't imagine with what we saw how you would run a large help desk out of it. You know, Kanban boards start to break down at certain sizes, and how you would run a huge help desk out of something like that might be difficult. Is anybody using them with any success? I guess
Not
they're just
integrated with our PSA, but we use Monday for other things.
Are you using them Monday for project or more on the business delivery side, like software or marketing delivery and that kind of stuff?
Both marketing delivery and then also onboarding, primarily client onboarding. I probably should use the PSA better for that, but I'm not. This is a lot easier.
I don't know what the Kaseya suite is like. If the ConnectWise project module was painful,
They're similar.
similarly painful.
It's painful.
I've used both more than I'd like to say I've used, and both of them are sitting on, they're so close to all of the different Monday.com clones. Why don't they do this themselves?
I still haven't figured out why somebody hasn't just gone out and built a Microsoft Planner board integration for for projects and just kill off the, just slurp data out of that into the PSA and be done with it. I'm not sure, because Planner does as much as most folks would need, and it's way cleaner, and you can get client visibility. Our problem with ConnectWise was always no client visibility into a project. They can see the ticket, but they can't see the project.
So Kelly says they use Planner and Unite gets the not recommend. And then we have a question. Anybody use Rippling automatically provisioning licenses and permissions within Google or M365? Who else is doing that that we talked to? Is it Simeon?
Mhm.
I don't think they're doing provisioning of licenses, are they?
They're not provisioning licenses, they're doing
Configuration.
auditing configurations, yeah. Provisioning licenses you can do with with the distributors or
X8 or
some of the
Looks like Rippling does it when you hire someone in your HR process, which is kind of neat.
we do it with Okta through groups, but you still have to buy the licenses.
But Rippling is interesting. It looks like it has an entire product category where you can go like provision a notebook, purchase and provision a notebook and send it out and do all kinds of stuff with it. That is interesting. We've wandered way away from APIs, though. I think that unless some of this stuff has APIs, I don't know anything about, which is also possible. We talked user portal, we talked CSAT, and we've really covered all of the topics here. Has anybody got something that they really enjoy working with that we haven't mentioned?
the initial question was just Russ. Greg asked everybody's second favorite product that had an API integration from the PSA. Of course, the first being Lifecycle. So he was asking kind of on these other topics, what else was, saving them. Oh, perfect. Russ's answer is the best. LCI is his first and second favorite.
That's a good answer. I'll say at my MSP, every time we talked about tools, the answer was Screen Connect. Everybody said you can get rid of any of the tools we have, but keep Screen Connect because that's the one we use the most. And all that did was reinforce my belief that all we used our RMM tool for was a remote access tool. So it just made me more angry. But Screen Connect and IT Glue were definitely pretty high on our list of high values. Auvik, those guys always get good marks.
We must be using Screen Connect wrong because I don't feel the same way about it.
Really?
I mean, the initial complaint that I have, which is very off topic, is we have rogue printers. So anytime anybody connects, it leaves behind these ghost printers that we have to then have a script run every 6 hours to clean up those printers.
Thanks for that flashback. It was still better, way better than everything else we'd used in its place, I guess would be the
correct. Yeah, we came from Continuum, so from LogMeIn to that was great. And Mark, we had that enabled for remote users.
So
all of our remote users have that.
There, Mark's got the tip for turning that off in Screen Connect.
No, it's easy to turn off, but we enable remote printing by default for everybody that's remote, which is still about 400, 500 users. So 6 in one, half a dozen in the other.
Yeah. We had a printer script called nukeprinters.bat, and it was literally a batch file that crushed all your printers, ripped out all the drivers, went through all of that. That was a year-long fight to get right. So been there, done that. Right. Well, I think that wraps that section of it, and it actually gives us some feedback on other things that we should be working on and kind of orders that we should be working on some of them in. The last thing I want to talk to you guys about today is next week, because next week we will be at
Build It.
We're going to do kind of an off-topic or I guess non-traditional Friday workshop. The topic for next week is going to be co-managed IT. So we're going to have a large conversation around how to handle the the client who has internal IT, maybe the client who wants internal IT and you're there instead, or they're talking about or threatening to bring in internal IT. Maybe the client who's going through recession and getting rid of internal IT or downsizing some of that. So our good friend Bob Coppage will be joining us. He is going to be at Build It with us, and he is, in my mind, he literally wrote the book on co-managed IT in the MSP space. So we're going to have him on next week. I would appreciate a heads up from you guys on the struggles, challenges, questions you'd want to ask someone about your current maybe offering around co-managed IT, or maybe things that you'd like to know about building a co-managed IT offering as we start talking recession, as we start looking at companies maybe laying off internal IT people and turning to MSPs or looking for cost savings and things like that. So does anybody have anything that stands out to them when I say co-managed IT? Does anybody have a gut reaction or a question that they'd like to hear answered?
I just put it in the chat, Alex.
Yep.
But the transition of tickets between that internal team and if it's vacation, if it's lack of knowledge, if it's criticality, being able to have that, like, how do you communicate that? Like one of the things we have is we have ConnectWise, they have their own boards most of the time. And then communication between that and then the board that our internal IT is working on. That's one of the biggest frustrations I see, and where it's like, hey, I'm on vacation, and it's like, okay, so now we need somebody to look at their board. But
right. So are you guys using the ConnectWise? Shoot, I'm gonna forget the name of the module. They have a special license for somebody who's a in-house
Yeah,
IT.
like a system manager. Yes, I know. I can't
believe
think of it either.
That's
yeah,
gonna bother me. Okay.
The integration to be named later.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought it was forgettable. Don't worry, they'll rename it to co-managed.
I was going to
IT
say
license.
the way they're renaming everything, it's called the co-managed IT ticket board.
Yeah. Okay, that's a really good one. And if you've got concerns or reservations about working alongside of a co-managed deal, I think that's open for fair topic as well. We had some of those go horribly at my MSP because we basically wound up babysitting for an idiot who just wasn't qualified to do the job, but the company was too nice to fire him. So instead of firing him, they paid for us on top of him. We had two different situations like that. But I'd be interested to hear what you guys' experiences are and what you might want to talk about, because we'll have Bob here for and he'll be joining us live from Build It. Yeah, Kelly, and which is amazing how much money people will pay to keep an underqualified IT person around. So roles and
I guess this is the way you look at it. Because I've worked for very, very smart internal IT people, and the consultants that were brought in were horrible.
Really?
So, keep those comments to yourself. I would appreciate it.
I think it happens both ways. It really does.
Yeah, but as a professional, you keep that to yourself, don't you?
Oh, we do. When we're working with our clients, absolutely.
No, period.
When we're here with you guys, we have frank conversations.
I don't agree with that.
Tim, I'm curious on the shared responsibility matrix. Do you do like a racing matrix with the responsible, accountable, communicate with?
Yeah. So, one of the biggest challenges, and I think we've kind of circled around that drain a little bit today, is who is responsible for what. So when you're doing commit, and I'm sure Bob's going to talk a lot about this, so I don't want to steal any of his thunder, but really making sure that your SLA and your service level objectives are in line with setting expectations so that you know what your swim lane is and they know what your swim lane is, and everybody doesn't cross streams in the pool. That's like one of the biggest challenges I've had with commit. But once you get that process nailed, it can get very lucrative very fast, right? And so, I think that's where Bob's probably going to lead you down that path. I've had some really good, successful commit clients that I literally do nothing and sell them a bunch of tools that has really great margins. Yeah. So,
and I think Bob does
finding-
that. I think that's a good bit of what he talks about in the book too, right? Is really how to divide and conquer, and get the right teammates to do the right work, and make that, I think you said it right with the swim lane pieces, I think makes a ton of sense.
yeah, defining the swim lanes, and it gets wonky for the first couple of months where it's like, not my job, not your job, but having that as part of that contract negotiation and right up front, so there's clear expectations. Bob's going to tell you all this, but yeah,
I was gonna say, well, if you've ever talked to Bob, he'll call it out right up.
shared responsibility. Who's
Yeah.
responsible for what and what swim lanes? I'm
Yeah.
not going to steal Bob's thunder. So
Yeah.
What's the book?
Oh, it's,
Do you know the title?
one of them is I Don't Want Your Job, but I'll put them both in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. I think that I Don't Want Your, he said they always send out both of these to different folks. If it is to the internal IT person, let me put Bob Coppage. I can't talk and type this at the same time.
I'll just drop his Amazon link in chat for y'all, and then you can go buy all his damn books.
Yeah, the first is the MSP Survival Guide to Co-Manage IT Services. So that is from your perspective, and really, that one is that the one that, yeah, he's a crotchety old geek's roadmap on marketing, selling, and providing managed services. He's got the CEO's Guide to Informational Technology, but the one that he gives out to prospects is the I Don't Want Your Job, is co-managed IT services the right fit for you? So he's got a few different versions of it, but and one he gives to his internal staff, and then one he gives to the IT, the internal enterprise IT.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
I like that idea, Jeff. Internal guys board being tied to a bright gauge to be able to provide some transparency. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if they were using it for coach and counsel, or to see, hey, is this actually working, or do we have the right guy doing it?
I think you can get some of all of that out of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it was basically all of our stats. Well, hey, here's yours, and then when it escalates to us, here's our numbers, so you can see them side by side.
Yep. I like that a lot, because I mean, these are places where transparency is really important, and it's someplace sometimes where it gets hard. So that's a really good one. I'm going to run that one by Bob beforehand so that he's prepared to have an opinion on it. Not that I think Bob needs to prepare to have an opinion, but
No.
that's why I like him so much. And in fairness, when I talked to Bob about my struggles at co-managed, he had plenty of opinions, and most of them were, well, it's because you're a dummy and you did it wrong. So we made plenty of mistakes along the way. Ultimately, co-managed made us a good bit of money, and like Tim said, we didn't have to put as much work into it as we did a lot of our other accounts. So, and it was certainly less scrambling, because when something goes on site, on-prem, they got a guy there who can run down the hallway. You're not driving somebody 30 minutes across town in a rush because there's a printer jam and they can't get paychecks out or whatever the thing is, right? We certainly never had to drive across town to find out a keyboard was unplugged. Those guys would take care of it for us.
I do like when I search for Bob Coppage's books on Amazon. If you scroll down, you get the pre-reader Bob's books set also.
I want Bob to do Audible for those. I feel like that would be.
I think he is.
Oh, is he? I would love that.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing his own audibles because
Bob's personality on that would be awesome.
Yeah, no, I know he's doing his own. So Tim, I'm sure you like that, because he was giving me the name of who he was using and what he needed to do in order to do them on Audible. So I think some of them might even have it.
It looks like one of them has an Audible version.
Yeah, I'm sure that's Bob.
And he is the author narrator.
Yep.
That's entertaining to me.
Yep.
Because he has so much personality. So guys, next week, Bob will be here to join us. He is an absolutely fantastic human being. I love him to death. His beard is better than mine. I'm sorry. I can't wait for them to shave his off so that we get a fair start, and I can race him back to a real beard. But he will be here to join us next week. Should be a great conversation. He is absolutely an expert in the field. So with that, I think we're at a good stopping point, unless Marnie, you've got something we can give these guys 20 minutes of their day back.
Nope, I think that is all we had for the day. Although, and I appreciate Greg, you sending in ideas, because we're always looking we really want to hear what you all want to talk about. So it just fits well. And I think there's some good ideas in the chat. So hopefully everybody got some value out of that conversation.
Yeah. And if you guys would like to see hear some of these new and upstart vendors come talk to us about, what they do and how some of their tools work and how some of their APIs work. If you want to talk to the guys at Roost, if you want to talk to the guys at
Giant
MSP
rocket
bots or any of them, let us know. We're happy to drag them on here and have a conversation with them. We'll bring you guys who you want to talk to. So with that, enjoy your weekend. Hopefully it cools off somewhere, unless you're in, where did we start bragging about temperatures? Unless you're in Oregon. In Oregon, I hope it stays 68 degrees, but for the rest of you, I hope it cools off a little bit. I hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks, Alex.
Take care, guys.
Cheers, everyone.